Hi, everybody. Today is Thursday, January 21st, 2021. And this is a viewer request live stream. I don't know that we'll be here very, very long tonight because I don't have that much to say, but what I do have to say is important. So, welcome, everyone. Welcome as you file into the chat. It is so good to have you. And we will get started here shortly. As you all notice, there's no music. Myself and this music. Y'all already know the struggle, so I won't detail it here. But I do plan on having it eventually one day. I just want it to sound good when it comes over. So I'll be skipping music for a little while just to give us an opportunity to go straight into content. So hi everybody and welcome as we get started here. This is a viewer request live stream, and we are going to go ahead and jump right into it. So first, let me thank my January 2021 sponsor. My special message to you today is cheers to new beginnings and fresh starts. Hear, 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 hear. So thank you to my January 2021 sponsor. We have February covered and coming up. We also have March and April covered. So our next opening will be May 2021. So if you're interested in the May slot, I will have information in the description box for you. Also, I think I've decided how I'm going to double up. So I'll bring that up at the end of the show if we do an after show. But I think just quite simply, like if someone wants to double up, the cost for a sponsorship is $25 for the month. But if someone wants to double up, maybe I'll just charge them $30. So then that way, I don't know, at least they paid to like share the spot kind of sort of. I don't know how to make that work fairly. So I'll still be thinking through that. But thank you to my sponsors, January 2021, and everyone coming up as well. Okay, so let us move on to our actual content. Welcome, everybody. So here is the viewer request. I went ahead and blocked their name and everything because, I didn't tell you guys I'd be displaying them. So whenever I do that, I try not to put you on blast. But this was the actual request that came in. They wanted to talk about toxic feminism, how to survive narcissists in the workplace, and how to recover one's mind after narcissistic abuse. So as far as the other two topics, toxic feminism, many people requested that. And I would love to do a show on that for you guys. There's just one small problem. I don't know what it is. And no one can really give me a straight definition of what toxic feminism is. So it's very hard for me to address something that I really don't know what it is. Like I know what toxic females are. I've done a whole video on that. We've talked about narcissistic women over and over again on this channel. But toxic feminism specifically, you got to help me out because most of the people who want to hear about this can't really even define feminism. So if you can barely define feminism, you definitely can't define toxic feminism, and neither can I. Because whenever someone, for example, accuses me of being a feminist, I'll say, what is your definition of feminist? Typically no answer. I would say 99% of the time I get no answer to that question. So because of that, it's very hard for me to do a show on something that's ill-defined to begin with. So there's that. I think we've talked extensively about how to survive narcissists in the workplace. I actually have a book in the Amazon Kindle store. I will link that for you once the show is concluded, called Surviving Narcissists in the Workplace. So we do have a resource to cover that. But what we will talk about tonight is how to recover one's mind after narcissistic abuse. Now, I recognize that the request specifically says mind and not self-esteem. However, there's another YouTuber who's exploring this topic, and I don't want to step on his toes. And I don't see him yet in the chat, but I'm going to reach out to him and see if maybe he wants to do a little collaboration because he was the first person I saw putting forth this idea, the idea of narcissists causing brain damage. And so I don't want to step on his toes for that concept. So I might actually invite him up on the show to do a little talk about that. So I decided to just take it in a different angle. And the way I'm going to respond to this question is how to recover your self-esteem after narcissistic mistreatment. I'm supposed to be saying mistreatment, not the A word. And I think I've already said it. Dang it, man. The algorithm hates this word, you guys. Can't stand it. and it'll flag you immediately and demonetize the video. So hopefully I haven't messed up too badly. But the A word is what we're talking about, but I will be using the word mistreatment, okay? Just to try to keep baby Algo asleep. So let's get into our content. First of all, let's talk about this thumbnail, okay? I want you all to know that I worked so hard on this thumbnail, okay? This thumbnail is near and dear to my heart. Those of you who were on the stream last night know that part of the struggle was basically me trying to get the thumbnail right for this show. And it was a struggle between the picture you're looking at right now and this one right here, okay? And neither one of them came out of the bottle this way, all right? I had to like make them in a way. It's hard to explain. Just know that this little thumbnail, this little chewed up apple in front of the mirror is near and dear to my heart, okay? Mainly because the background is not black. So if we have time after the show, I will show you what this actual picture looks like. And then you'll see why I didn't want to use it as my thumbnail. Like, it was so perfect except for that background. So I made the background black. I am proud of it. I own it. And this is one of my favorites of all time because of how hard I had to work on this silly little thing, okay? PTE, they are not here to hear about your OCD and your thumbnails. Talk about self-esteem. Okay. Well, thank you so much. It says both thumbnails are kick-ass good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I work hard on these, y'all. I really do. So let's talk about recovering your self-esteem after narcissistic mistreatment. So I think this is one of the major side effects of having dealt with or dealing with a narcissist in your life. Often your self-esteem and your sense of self-worth will take a hit. They'll take a major hit. And I'm here to tell you that it actually takes, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, a couple of years to restore. Almost as long as you were exposed to the narcissist is how long it takes you to restore it. And I know that's bad news for some of you because some of you have been exposed to a narc for a really long time. And even if it could be interpreted as bad news, the good news in all of that is that at least you know you're not supposed to be over it yet. Like if it's been 6 months, a year, and you're still not quite over it, you still don't feel quite the same. The good news is you're not really supposed to, because dealing with people like these will damage your self-esteem and your sense of self-worth, sometimes indefinitely. Hey, Rebound, I teased one of your ideas at the start of the show. I'm not sure if you heard it, but I teased the idea of narcissists causing brain damage. So I'll be reaching out to you regarding that because I might have you on the show to talk more about that. Welcome. Welcome to everybody in the chat as well. So if you are still struggling internally and trying to rebuild your self-esteem, and it's been like a year or 2 or 3 years, please know that that's normal. And please know that a rapid recovery would be abnormal. Truly it would. Okay. So if you're still struggling, you're quite normal is the first thing that I would like for you to know. Okay. So the way I decided to approach this was to kind of detail to you what I've done, the strategies that I've used to kind of help me get over some of the experiences that I've had with narcissists. And I hope they work for you as well. There is no slideshow, so this is pretty much the only picture you'll be looking at. So if you're just listening, you don't have to worry about missing anything on the screen, okay? So first and foremost, and I think this is just a feature of me as a person. I think this is just a function of my personality, which is not very helpful to you. It's like, thanks, PTE. Thanks for sharing tips that, are functions of your personality. I'm just saying, though, I'm just telling you everything I know with the hope that you can use it. So this first one, I really do think this is just the way my mind is set up. But in the past, when narcissists or other people who like to mistreat others, bullies, would come to me with various little critiques or feedback or criticisms or whatever, my initial response typically was I never believed them, you guys. Like I never, ever actually believed them right out the gate. And I would always look at them and I would always say, or write back or whatever, what do you mean? Tell me what you mean. Tell me more. What makes you say that? Where did you get that from? So, in other words, I didn't dismiss their criticisms outright. I didn't reject them outright, because that's what narcissists do. I received it and went, well, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I don't believe that to be true, but clearly they have a reason for saying it. So do share. Tell me where you're getting that from. Like, where are you getting this from? Is it something I said, something I did, something you heard? Where are you getting it from? So in other words, I never took their criticism or feedback as factual or truth right away. And I think that right there truly preserves my self-esteem in more ways than one. Because if you automatically receive everything someone is saying to you as fact or true, you know what I mean? Well, of course, it's going to start to damage your sense of self and the way you feel about yourself over time, because you automatically think it's true. But there's like a firewall in me. And when it comes to me, it hits that firewall and I'm like, okay, they have an opinion about something. Let's see where they got it from. Let's see what's making them say that. Because typically, when I approach someone else with criticism or feedback, if they were to ask me, what do you mean? Or where are you getting that from? Or tell me more, I could answer any of those questions in detail. What do I mean? Here's what I mean. Tell you more? Here's more. Where am I getting that from? Here's where I'm getting that from. So in other words, I would have no issue and no problem actually answering their question. You see what I mean? However, what I found with narcissists, though, is they can never typically answer this question. And as I was racking my brain preparing for this show, I actually couldn't think of one time they've answered the question successfully. So I'll give you an example that's followed me through life. And it's funny because it literally follows the same pattern every time. It doesn't happen to me quite as much as an adult as it did when I was younger and a teenager. I'm sure the feelings are still there. People just express them less, but it happened far more frequently when I was like in grade school and even like the early years of college. But one piece of feedback I often get or got would be people would just say, you seem stuck up. Okay. And I would always say, what makes you say that? You know what their answer would typically be? I don't know. You just seem stuck up. Okay. And for me, the recipient of that feedback, tell me what I'm supposed to do with that feedback. Because you're telling me you think I'm stuck up. I say to you, tell me more. And you just say, I don't know. So what am I supposed to do? Because obviously it bothers you because you felt the need to share it with me. So there's something I'm doing, saying, being that's generating that feedback in you. You have to tell me. Otherwise, I can't even try to fix it. It's one thing to know exactly what you're doing that's causing someone to say something, because then you have the option to fix it. Then you actually have the option to make improvements or changes if you feel they're valid. You see what I mean? Whereas if someone just comes to you and says, I don't like this about you, and you're like, well, why? And they're like, well, I don't know. Well, what are you supposed to do with that? See, I consider that feedback null and void. DOA. Like you haven't given me anything to work with, right? Now, here's what else I think is so funny about the same people who typically will come to me and say, you seem stuck up. Give it like 6 months. Give it like 3 to 6 months of consistent exposure to me. And that same person or whomever will come back and go, you know, when I first met you, I thought you were stuck up, but it turns out you're really cool. I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten that feedback, you guys. Can't tell you how many times. And I'm the type of person, I'm more than willing to change anything about myself that is causing discomfort, harm, rubbing people the wrong way, as long as it's not something that has to do with me existing as I am. You know what I mean? But I mean, if it's like a behavior of choice, and that behavior of choice really rubs people the wrong way, I'm the first one to try to alter it. I don't like hurting people on purpose. Like as much as I'm able, I try to avoid it. You see what I mean? So if you could give me a specific, I could act on that specific. But more often than not, they can't, you guys. They say, I don't know. I don't know. You just seem stuck up. Okay. Well, is there something I can do to fix it? What is it and how can I fix it? They can't answer. So until you can answer, I'm not changing because you're not giving me real feedback. So that's the first thing. I never actually believed them. They hit that firewall. And then the firewall starts asking them questions like, I see you have a beef. Welcome. I see you have registered a beef. On the following form, please detail the specifics of your beef, and your form will be submitted to PTE. Thank you. They can't detail those specifics, so the firewall rejects it. You see? So I don't want you all to walk away thinking, oh, I just reject all feedback. She just rejects feedback. No, I reject feedback that has no action behind it, that has no detail. So, and that really helps preserve my self-esteem, because you'd be surprised how many people receive every little piece of feedback that they get. There's a famous female celebrity who does that. And she's always tangled up in some drama on Twitter behind essentially a nobody. And I don't mean that a person is nobody. What I mean is she wouldn't know this person from Adam or Eve. And they just make one piece of critical comment to her and she'll attack back anybody and everybody. She still hasn't learned how to pick her battles. That's because she has no firewall. When you have a firewall, I'm talking about Cardi B. There, I said it. I'm talking about Cardi B, okay? Cardi has no firewall. So every little piece of feedback that comes her way, she receives it, she accepts it as true, and she battles every piece. Whereas a person with the firewall, you can sling mud all day. If it doesn't get past the firewall, then it doesn't affect the self-esteem, you see? But your firewall should not be inflexible, meaning nothing can get through, because some feedback is critical and valuable to you, and you have to be able to discern which is valuable and which is actionable, which is also very important, okay? Yeah, I just said it. I've been dancing around her for like a year and a half. Cardi, honey, if you say one negative thing about her, like on her Twitter, you can be anybody, you can be a bot. And if a bot says something, she'll go at it with the bot. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to pick your battles, girl. These are nobodies relative to who you are. And I'm not saying that girl, let me just stop. Let's move on. So let's move on to number 2. And I think this one is probably more important than anything else I'll share with you in this entire live stream, okay? You have to ask yourself the question. So again, remember, the topic of tonight's stream is restoring your self-esteem after narcissistic mistreatment. All right. So we're trying to figure out how to rebuild our self-worth and our self-esteem. This one right here works wonders for me, you guys, wonders. And it is asking myself the question, why does this person's opinion hold so much weight with me? And then the piggyback to that question is, why do I think they are right? So again, why does this person's opinion hold so much weight with me? And why do I think they're right? Because any narcissist that has had long-term effects on my mind, the cold, hard truth that I've had to accept is that their opinion holds weight with me. And on some level, I think that they're right. And you have to ask yourself the question, why? Why does this person's opinion hold so much weight with me? And why do I think they're right? Because keep in mind, the first tip I gave you was I generally never believe them, right? So you come to me with some weird, inactionable feedback. I don't believe you anyway, so I reject it. But there are some people who you believe, and that question would have to go to why. Why do you believe them, and why do you think they're right? And why do they hold so much weight with you? You can take this further by kind of examining, like someone just said in the chat, where'd it go? Always consider the source. So once you start to realize, I've put a lot of value on this narcissist's opinion. I put a lot of weight on what this narcissist thinks about me. Why? Why do they have my string like this? Once you realize that that's the situation you're in, You have to then go and examine the person, examine the source. And once you really start examining the source, you'll flip it back to yourself and go, now you are sitting here beholden to a clown. You're sitting here taking hits to your self-esteem. Your self-esteem is getting damaged because you are beholden to a clown. Do you understand? Some of you will do some searching and discover a clown. Some of you will do some searching and discover an idiot. Some of you will do some searching and discover a troll. So, and it's an odd thing that our mind sets up for us, these little hierarchies and authority and power and how that really works with us and works on us. But what you'll find oftentimes is once you examine your puppet master, sometimes you discover your puppet master is an idiot. And then it should become very easy to not put so much weight or any weight on their opinion because you realize you are considering the opinion of an idiot. Like, has their life ever reflected success in any way? Like, are they truly masters of life? Have they hacked life to the point where they can really tell you what to do? Like, are they hypocrites? You know what I mean? Like, do they really have their stuff together? Really? And now they're sitting from a position of experience. Like, hey, I went through that same thing. I got my act together. So that's why I share my opinion with you. Or do they still not have their act together, but they're trying to share their opinion with you? Do you see what I mean? Someone in a chat, or you might discover a scumbag. Exactly. That could be a fun show. What do you discover in your grab bag when you start to search your narc? Do you discover a clown, an idiot, a troll, a scumbag, a hypocrite? But someone left a comment in a chat. This is well over a year ago, but I never forgot it. And they said, when you figure out who you can't speak the truth to, you have found your oppressors. And I think that's very relevant here as well. If you can't speak the truth to this particular narcissist, idiot or not, that narcissist is your oppressor. So then the question becomes, do you really want to be oppressed by an idiot? And if so, why? And if so, why are you okay with being oppressed by an idiot? You see? It's a series of steps, it's a series of questions that eventually walk you to the question, why am I okay being oppressed by an idiot? Why? You see what I mean? So this one really has carried me through the years. Why does this person's opinion hold so much weight with me? So for example, just to use a workplace example, quite often I find that my boss's opinion of me ends up holding a lot of weight. But when I do this little thought exercise with myself, I realize it's a fear-based thing. They hold a lot of weight with me because they literally hold my future in their hands. They hold whether or not I can work here in their hands. They hold their belief of my performance or non-performance in their hands. They hold my promotion in their hands. They hold my references in their hands, which, by the way, everything I just listed is far too much power for an individual private citizen to hold over another. But that's a different live stream. But I just wanted to say that. That's too much power for one private citizen to hold over another private citizen. I am just so profoundly against that. That you control whether or not somebody moves up in their career. You control whether or not they get a good reference. You control whether or not they even have a job. That's too much power. Don't get me started, y'all. Y'all know how I feel about that kind of stuff, okay? But anyway, my bosses held a lot of weight because they literally kind of held my life in their hands. You see what I mean? Let me move on because I feel myself getting pulled down a different pathway. Okay, so now I should have put these in order of importance, but I didn't. I just put them on my list in the order they came to me. So this one I would say is almost as important as number 2. And I've spoken about this before in one of my previous videos, but part of the reason I've been able to preserve my self-esteem and keep my self-esteem intact is because I know the truth. And further, that truth is typically a truth that they will not allow me to share with them. So, to make it real simple, let's say the truth consists of 38 pieces. Let's say we'll just make them blocks to make it easy. 38 blocks is the representation of the whole truth regarding whatever matter we're talking about, okay? 38 blocks. And I know all 38 blocks, and I know what order they go in, and I know exactly how the truth is composed and what makes up the truth, all 38 blocks. The narcissist, however, will only acknowledge 16 blocks. And I'm like, hey, narc, there's 38 blocks. I would love to show you the rest. Why didn't I make it an even number so I can make it in a half? What's half of 38, y'all? It's not 14. Lord Jesus. What is it, 17? I don't know. What's half of 38? Anyway, I know a 4 goes at the end, right? Oh my God, this is pitiful. Why didn't I pick an easy number? 38 divided by 2. 19. Ooh. All right. We're not going to focus on my math skills tonight. What we're going to focus on is the fact that, so I said 16, I'll just half it. The narcissist out of those 38 blocks will only acknowledge 19 of them. And you're like, hey, I see you have the first 19, but there's 19 more blocks that makes up the whole truth. Can I tell you, please? And more often than not, they won't let you. When you go to try to describe the other 19 blocks that they're missing, they interrupt you at number 20. Then they interrupt you at 21. Then they hop back to block number 3. You see what I mean? You are never, ever able to actually finish telling the whole truth so they can have a complete picture. As a result, they base all of their opinions, comments, decisions, ideas off of 19 blocks instead of 38. You understand? So when they're sitting here coming at you, throwing all this heat and this criticism at you, truly you could just be sitting there looking at them like you are really, really stupid. You're actually an idiot because you really think you know what you're talking about and you don't, because you're basing all of this off 19 blocks, not 38. And until you let me give you all 38, everything you're saying is null and void. Do you see? So narcissists often don't want to hear the whole story. They do not tolerate the whole story. They will not let you provide them the whole story, the added layers, if you will. And as a result, they're stupid. They are deficient in the sense that they operate life off of incomplete information, but they really think that they have the whole story. They think they don't even need the rest of the story from you, which to me is a high sign and a high marker you're dealing with a narcissist. When you're trying to explain something to them and they honestly think they already know what you're going to say. And oftentimes they'll hop in, they'll interrupt you, they'll cut you off, they'll complete your sentence, and they're completing it wrong. You're like, well, no, that's actually not what I was going to say. But a lot of people will just take that and just run with it. And when you see someone doing that, I would highly recommend you avoid that person, no matter how innocuous or mundane they might seem. Anybody who won't let you tell them the whole story is someone you probably want to avoid. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you have the right to occupy an hour and 45 minutes of somebody's ear while you explain the whole story. However, if it takes that long, I mean, here's what I would do in those situations. Because like I've said before, all stories are not short. Some stories are long. They have lots of pieces to them. So if you know you're getting ready to tell a long story, tell somebody that. Say, hey, listen, I need to explain this to you, but it is a long story. Do you have time? Like, I'll need about 30 minutes to tell you the whole story. Do you have time? And what you're basically setting them up to do is shut the F up. Shut up. So I can tell you the story, so I can get the whole story out. Stories have peaks, climaxes, context building. It's amazing how a culture that loves to watch movies can't stand to hear someone else tell a complete story. So anyway, I say all that to say that my self-esteem remains intact in situations like those because I can see that they're basing their decisions off incomplete information. And their unwillingness to let me provide them the rest of the information is what makes them a narcissist and also an idiot. You see? It's almost like, here's a good example I think you could use for why you should avoid people like this. Let's say you are going out of town and you hire someone to be a pet sitter for you. So they come to your house when you're not there. They feed and water your pets and walk them if you have dogs. And while they're there, now, hopefully you wouldn't hire this person, but you never know. People aren't always paying attention. While they're there and you're explaining to them kind of what your pets need, they're kind of like, oh, yeah, I've taken care of hundreds of dogs. But what you're actually trying to explain to them is like, hey, this dog can't have bananas. He's going to ask for a banana. Don't give it to him, because it'll tear up his stomach and give him diarrhea or whatever. Like you're trying to give them specifics. And they're not interested because I've taken care of hundreds of dogs. Okay, then you leave. They come back the next day. They give both of your dogs bananas and you come home to a poop bonanza all over your house. And you're like, what happened? Like, well, I don't know. I just gave him the treats. It's like, did you give him the banana treat? Well, yeah, dogs love bananas. I told you not to give him bananas. Oh, well, I didn't think anything of it. I take care of hundreds of dogs and they all love bananas and blah, 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 blah. You see what I mean? Like, you want somebody in your life, whoever it is, friend, family, spouse, coworker, contractor, whatever, who actually listens to what you are saying. Because a lot of narcissists assume that what you're telling them is not important, or that what you're telling them they've already heard before, right? So they dismiss it and they don't hear the valuable information that you're actually trying to share. So anyway, I feel like I got off track. Always knew the truth. Yeah. They never let me share the whole truth. Okay, right. Okay. So their opinions are invalid because they're based on partial facts. Exactly. So a person's opinion can be invalid. And part of the reason, or part of the way a person's opinion can be invalid, is that it's not based on all the facts. This is why in the court of law, evidence is so important. This is why it's so important to have attorneys who know how to illustrate your case and illustrate all the components, lay them out for the jury, so the jury can make a decision based on all the facts. If you have an attorney that leaves information out, valuable, vital information that could help, you might lose your case because the jury didn't have all the facts. You see, one fact can change the whole shape of a story. So you're looking for the people who will allow you to tell them everything so they can see where you're coming from for real. Okay. Moving on, let's move on to the next one. And hello to everybody in the chat. You will come home to a poop bonanza because they weren't listening when you said, don't give them bananas, or don't do this, or don't do that, But this is a sidebar. But by the way, I feel like part of the reason our society is not as smart as it thinks it is and totally lacks critical thinking skills is because we don't tell people why enough. So for example, let me see if I can just find an immediate example. Okay, I have a bottle of lotion here, and on the back it says, caution, keep out of reach of children, for external use only, avoid contact with the eyes. In case of accidental ingestion, get medical help or contact a poison control center right away. Okay. The issue with this is it's not telling us why. Keep out of reach of children. Why? Because kids probably will eat it. Right? And is it poisonous? Like, can we die if they eat it? Didn't tell us that. If I eat the whole bottle, will I die? What kind of symptoms should I look forward to if I decide to consume this? Right? For external use only. Well, why? Why not internal use? Why can't I put it on my gums? Or, you know what I mean? Like, put it in my soup. Why not? Tell us why. Tell us what chemical makes it not for external use. Do you see what I'm saying? You have to kind of tell the rest of the story. Avoid contact with the eyes. Why? Will it burn? Will it blind me? Is this a blinding product? Can I go blind if I put this in my eyes? In case of accidental ingestion, get medical help or contact a poison control center. Well, how much are we talking? Are we talking a tablespoon, a teaspoon, the whole bottle? See, you're not teaching anything. Do you see? And this is just a simple example, y'all. There's other examples and there's better examples. And as I find them here and there, I'll share them with you. But the point I'm trying to make is you're telling us not to do something, but you're not telling us why. And as a result, people don't know. So they can't then apply that same logic to other things. So say, for example, it's the salicylic acid in this lotion is what makes it not edible. Tell us that. This product contains salicylic acid, which is not edible. Consuming this product in any amount will cause major gastrointestinal problems. Do you see what I mean? We have to teach again. Moving on. So the next thing that has always helped me either protect my self-esteem or recover it is the knowledge that I too am worthy and deserving of this just as much as they are. So this actually kind of plays into my channel name and my channel purpose and intent, permission to exist. In other words, the whole sentence is, I have permission to exist. And so do you. You have permission to exist. So in other words, we don't need anyone's actual permission to exist just as we are. It's like so simple, but complicated at the same time. But this is part of it. So the recognition that I'm just as worthy of respect as they are. I've never believed I was worthy of less respect or more. And that's important. I've never believed I was worthy of less respect or more. I've always believed that I'm worthy of just as much respect as you are. So just to take it back to the workplace, whenever I've been in the workplace and I'm constantly getting talked over, interrupted, you know what I mean, spoken for, spoken over, the thought in my mind is, I have just as much of a right to complete my sentence as you do. Period. And see, when we get, this is kind of bouncing around a little bit, but when we get to talking about our different race topics, this is why I generally don't, because it's one thing to call somebody racist. You're a racist. Okay, now what? Now what? But if I say you're rude and you have a tendency to not let me finish my sentences, you have a tendency to not let me finish my thoughts. You have a tendency to think that you know what I'm going to say and you don't. See, that's specific, baby, and that's actionable. Now, if you just have a tendency to do that to Black people, yeah, you're probably racist. But I can't prove that in this one-on-one meeting with you. But what I can prove to you in this one-on-one meeting is that when we are speaking, you don't let me finish my thoughts. When we are speaking, you interrupt me. When we are speaking, you try to think for me, or you try to complete my thoughts for me. That I can point to, and that I can call you out on, and that we can correct. Oh yes, we can correct that. That's correctable. I'm like, Susan, I'm sorry, but I wasn't finished speaking. Oh, no. I actually wasn't finished speaking. No. I wasn't done. No. Yep, see there? I actually wasn't done. See, that we can wrestle with. We can wrestle with that. I can't wrestle with your racism. To hell with your racism. I can't wrestle with that, but I can wrestle with your rudeness. You see what I mean? So that's just kind of how I look at it. Like I am just as worthy of this as you are because I'm a human being just like you. Period. Like life gets super simple when you boil it down to its most basic component parts. I am a human being just like you. I have a voice just like you. You hired me or you invited me here or whatever. because you felt like I had something to share. I would like to share it. I'm not going to monopolize your time, and I don't expect my time to be monopolized either. And that's kind of how I approach it, you guys. And if people can't operate on the most basic of on those most basic of components, I won't deal with them. We don't even have time to get in the higher level stuff because you can't even do the basics. You can't even have a basic conversation. So for example, I'll give you an example. Let me make sure I'm telling the truth. This can actually work for you. It has broad application. Okay. So one of my exes has popped into town and he texts me. And I don't know why they do this, because they know I'm not into the last minute pop up 24-hour turnaround. Let's go do some. They've been knowing this. I don't understand. But anyway, I wrote him back and I was like, oh, hey, welcome. What brings you here? And how long you going to be here? Right? 2 questions. What brings you here? And how long are you going to be here? Neither question was answered. Oh, hey, lady, just hanging out. Well, I guess that's kind of an answer. Oh, hey, lady, just hanging out, bopping around town or whatever. So in other words, but to me, it's still not a direct question that has been answered. Why are you here? And how long will you be here? Telling me just hanging out and bopping around is not really it's not really an answer. So to me, if you can't answer my simple questions, why would I go through the trouble of getting dressed to come meet you to do anything? Why? You still don't get it. Like, I'm expecting an answer like, hey, I have a meeting for work up here. We're meeting out at the blah, blah, blah conference center all day Saturday, and then I'm free after that. You see what I mean? Or I'm visiting my cousin who just had a baby, and I'll be here for 3 days. So I just wanted to see if you wanted to hang out. Do you see what I mean? Not, oh, just hanging out and bopping around for a few days. So the principle that I'm trying to illustrate to you there is I'm just as deserving of the truth as you are. So first of all, you infringed upon me. So I'm just asking you, why are you here? And you can't even answer that. So it's like, and this is just a tip to anyone who's trying to date anybody. Anyone who refuses to answer direct questions, open, direct questions, probably want to avoid them, guys, because it's not the first time and they're not going to answer you. And you can only make wise decisions based on all the information. So part of the reason I'm asking him, why are you here? Like, are you like hanging out with a bunch of people? Like, are you trying to invite me somewhere where there's like 20 other people? Do you see what I mean? Like, are you going to a bachelor party? Like, what's up? Like, in other words, why are you here, first of all? And what are you trying to get me to walk into? Because I find that when people don't want to answer your questions, it's because there's some part of it they know you would probably say no to. You see what I mean? Why are you here? Are you here with some other woman? And while she's off doing what she's doing, you're going to try to duck over and have dinner with me? Why are you here, boy? Boundaries. Exactly. It's just boundaries. So they like being vague, so they're not responsible for anything. Exactly. You don't get to pop into town, not tell me why you're here, and also how long you're going to be here. You don't get to do that. Like, and invite me somewhere. You know what I mean? Because I just need to know, like, are you alone? Like, is somebody with you? Who are you with? Anyway, that's another conversation. We might need to do a dating series. I don't think I've ever really gotten into like dating. Not really, like sort of kind of, but not really. But I think that would be fun and funny for us to get into just all the different things we go through on the dating scene. But that's one of them. Child, why are you here? What do you want? Anyway, let's move on. So since we just mentioned, well, let me see, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I kind of gave you my 3 tips. Let me do a high level summary. The first one is I've never actually believed them. As far as it comes to rebuilding your self-esteem, yes, my self-esteem has taken a hit before, but it primarily has to deal with the confusion that I used to feel when dealing with narcissists. Not doubt about myself, doubt about how come this just is not working with this person? What am I doing wrong? Like, am I approaching it like reading books, articles, everything, trying to figure out what I'm doing wrong with this person? Anyway, I never actually believed them though, in terms of my worth. What I believed was wrong was my effectiveness. So I didn't know how to be effective. Me, a worthy person, didn't know how to be effective with this person. Come to find out that's not the case. They never planned on cooperating with you in the first place, which is why you were having so many difficulties. Different stream, okay? So first, I never actually believed them, and I followed that up with, what do you mean? They always hit my firewall. What do you mean? Tell me more. Give me an example. Can you detail that? What are you talking about? Tell me more, or else I'll think you're lying. Okay, so that's one. The second thing that I said is, why does this person's opinion hold so much weight with me? And why do I think that they're right? So in other words, why do I believe them? When I do believe them, why do I believe them? And why do I think they're correct? Okay. The third thing is, I've always known the actual truth. And the example I gave was, pretend that the truth consisted of 38 blocks and they're only willing to acknowledge 19 of the blocks, but they won't let you tell them about the other 19 blocks. That should be enough for you to go, well, you know what? You can sit there with your opinion of me all you want. Until you have the full story, your opinion means nothing to me. It really means nothing. Like if I only had a piece of the story, I would probably think the same thing. But because I know for a fact you don't have the whole story, your opinion matters very little to me. And it's not that your opinion matters little as much as it is you won't let me tell you the rest. And because you won't let me tell you the rest, walk away with your impartial story and your impartial opinion. It matters not, because it's not true. And then the fourth thing was just the knowledge that I am equally as deserving of whatever it is that they are. I'm no more deserving than they are, and I'm no less deserving than they are. I'm equally as deserving because we are both human beings, period. Okay. So now that we know those things, here's a couple of tips to kind of help you keep it intact and rebuild it. Okay. So one, these are all important, but they all seem like more important than the other one. Here's the first thing you can do to keep it intact and rebuild it, okay? You have to treat yourself as good as you treat others. And here's what I mean by that. The best example that I could come up with was house cleaning and a house cleaner. So let's say that you have a part-time gig as a house cleaner. And when you go to clean other people's houses, you literally clean like the president is coming, the new president, that is. You clean up like the global ambassador is coming to stay. But when it comes to cleaning your own house, you only clean up like your favorite cousin, is coming over. So in other words, you do more for other people than you do for yourself. You got to stop that. I know people think it's cute. I know it's one of people's favorite things to say in an obituary. And if you pay attention, it is often said in obituaries. That should tell you something. Oh, Mary Ellen always did more for others than she did for herself. Oh, Sue B always did more for others than she did for herself. Oh, Kevin always did more for others than he did for himself. Oh, Keisha always did more for others than she did for herself. Pay attention to these obituaries when you read them. These people are always doing more for others than they did for themselves, and it finally paid off. They finally gave it all away. You see what I mean? And sorry if y'all have the names that I'm using. I pull whatever name is in my head, okay? Susan gets it all the time. I'm so sorry, Susan. I swear I'm going to just print out a list of names so I can just start pulling different ones. But you see what I mean, though? They're always doing more for others than they did for themselves. And they finally did that to where the mathematics didn't work out. And they had nothing left to give. See, people think that that's cute. Yes, burning themselves out, martyrs. Yes, exactly. People think it's cute and they think it's noble and they think it'll be a great thing to put on their obituary. Like, I've already had conversations with one of my cousins. I was like, look, I don't know which one of us is going to go first, but please don't let them lie on my obituary. Tell the truth. Like, tell the truth about everything. Tell them what I love. Tell them what I hated. You know what I'm saying? Tell them everything. Like, don't sit here and be like, oh, she would give the back shirt off of her back and she would do more for you. Tell the truth. She had boundaries. She didn't let people run her crazy. She was kind and generous, but she also didn't let people take advantage of her. Tell the truth in my obituary. Don't lie. No, she only gave the shirt off of her back and she was just the greatest person. I'm like, it's a lot of great people dying. Every time you read the obituary, they were the sweetest, nicest, kindest, most generous, would give the shirt off their back. Well, how come the Lord keeps taking them out of here then? They sound like really great people. Why does the Lord keep wiping them? I'm being a little facetious, y'all, but I'm also being serious. Why the Lord keep taking all the good people? I think the Lord takes them because the Lord is sick of seeing them deny themselves. Like, I made you to be you. Like, if I plant an apple tree, I want you to be an apple tree. I don't want you to try to be an orange tree. Worry about being an apple tree. That's what I made you to be. You are an apple tree. Be an apple tree. You reaching over here trying to help the plums. You got a branch over here trying to help the lemons grow. You're trying to grow a root down in the ground to push the strawberries up, or wherever strawberries come from. Yeah, they come from a vine. Like, you need to chill. You're an apple. You are an apple tree. Be an apple tree. And when the Lord sees the apple tree trying to be every other tree, the Lord, just get it out of here. Go. Useless. You see what I'm saying? I know I worry about that too. It's like, if all these good people are getting wiped out, what does that mean about us? And what does that mean if we live a long life? What does that mean if we live a long life? One of my, she's my cousin, told me about a year ago. She just texted me and she was like, Spirit told me that you're going to live to a very old age. And I didn't say this back to her, but in my mind I went, oh, shit, man. Damn it. I was like, oh. And I was like, thanks, cuz. Because one of my grandmothers went to 94. So I'm like, oh God. Oh God. I'm too aware to live that long, y'all. I have far too much awareness to live to be that old. I'm sorry. Like, you can tap me out at like 80. I'm good. I'm serious. Like, my brain is far too aware to endure life that long. Okay. Like, I'm good at like a good 80 tap out, boom, like serious. Okay. I feel like to live that long, in order to enjoy it, you kind of have to be somewhat unaware of your surroundings. I'm far too aware to live a life that long. Okay. Far too aware. All right. We need some strong medication or something to make me just be like, everything is peachy. Anyway, let's move on. So where was I? Okay. You have to treat yourself as good as you treat others. And the wording there is very important. As good as you treat others. Not meaning like a narcissist, meaning you only are good to yourself and everyone else gets your scraps. What I'm saying is, if you clean up other people's houses like the president is coming, you need to clean up your own house like the president is coming, because you are worth it too. And yes, I know that it could be argued they're paying for that service. But still, it's still a house and a home that someone is going to live in. You live in, you live in a house or a home. You deserve to live in circumstances that are just as clean. You see what I mean? Or like when people come over, maybe you cook all this food for them and you put all this effort into it, but you feed yourself like a peanut butter sandwich. Now, if that's what you like, if you like peanut butter sandwiches, that's no problem. But if you feed yourself peanut butter sandwiches because you don't feel like you're worth all that effort, that's the problem. That's where we have an issue. Okay. Only eat the peanut butter sandwiches because that's what you really like to eat. And that's what you really want. Not because you don't feel like you're worth the 4-course meal. You see? So here's another, just to kind of drift back into the dating world a little bit. This took me a long time to master, but I wish I had known this when I was a younger woman. So to all my younger women listening, take heed. But You have to do things for yourself before you do them for any man. So here's what I mean by that. Okay, the things that they complain about the most are cooking and cleaning, right? We're not going to get started on that. Let's just take it at surface value, right? So a lot of women will go out of their way to cook and clean for a man of their interest or a man they're seeing or even with to keep him happy. And then when they slip on it from time to time, it makes him unhappy. It creates problems, blah, 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 blah. You have to be that person already, is what I'm trying to say. So you have to be the type of woman who keeps her house clean, period. It makes no difference whether or not he's there. That's the only way to keep your self-esteem intact. You have to be the type of woman who cooks for yourself already. So you were already planning on cooking that meal. It didn't make a difference whether or not he was coming over. The fact that he's coming over, hey, he just happens to benefit from the fact that you were cooking this meal for yourself anyway. Does that make sense? So in other words, him complaining or not complaining makes no difference to you because you were going to make that food for yourself anyway. You were going to clean up your house anyway. He's just a secondary recipient of who you already are. But when we allow people to shape us into who they want us to be, that's when we start to run into problems because your self-worth is now hung on whether or not you cook that night. But see, if you already cook for yourself, he can't affect your self-esteem in any way. Does that make sense? I hope so. So in other words, you didn't start cooking for him and you didn't stop cooking for him. You've been cooking for yourself. You're going to continue cooking after him. It makes no difference. So your self-esteem is not affected. You didn't start cleaning up your house because you started seeing this guy. You've always cleaned your house. He just happened to be a benefit of it, a secondary recipient. And you'll continue to clean your house after he's gone. That's how you keep your self-esteem intact. Okay? Next, when you assert your boundaries, even when it's scary, okay? So I had to do this the other day, y'all, and it was scary. But as some of you know, I am in school. I'm still in school. I should finish this year. I should actually be done this year. God, I hate it so much. I need to do a whole dissertation on how much I hate it. Like, hate is not the word, but I now know why I hate it. So that'll be a separate stream, separate everything. I hate it so much though. But anyway, one of my classes, prior to the class, she sent out a notification to everyone saying, please plan to be on camera. Oh, yeah. Y'all already know. You already know. You already know how I feel about that kind of stuff. And in a school setting where I'm paying you, it's an online class, I'm paying you. And it's not the type of class that we really need to see each other. We really don't, guys. We really don't. It's 7:00 at night. Like, no. The short answer to your question is no, I'm simply not doing it. I read through my syllabus because I wanted to make sure I wasn't breaking any class rule. Because if it's in her syllabus that you are required to be on camera as part of your grade, well, it looks like I would either have to drop the class or just suck it up and come on camera. It's not in her syllabus. It's not in your syllabus, miss. So it's not part of my grade. It's not necessary. No, and no, right? So I wrestle with this for days, y'all, because I'm like, God, I hate being that person. Like, I do not like being the odd man out. I don't like being the one person who didn't turn on her camera. You see what I mean? Like, I don't like putting that type of attention on myself. But at the same time, I'm like, the answer is no, though. It's 7:00 at night. I'm home. I'm comfortable. I'm not camera ready. I don't know these people. They're strangers. And come to find, like, we're discovering that a huge swath of our population has mental health issues, and not anxiety and depression, like serious disassociation, reality-based or lack of reality-based psychological issues. So no, the answer is just no. So it was hard, you guys, but I went through that whole class and I did not turn my camera on. Sure didn't. And when it came to my turn to speak and introduce myself, oh, and the other part of the reason I don't do that is because I'm very aware that one day, one of my subs is going to be in a class. I just feel it. One day, one of my subs is going to be in a class and they're going to be like, oh my God, that's permission to exist. That's her. Like, I just feel it. I sense it. I just know it's going to happen one day. I'll get a message like, hey, I'm in your class. And I know this is going to sound weird, but you sound like a YouTuber I listen to. And I'll be like, yeah, girl, that's me, girl. It's me. It's me. So I really just want, like, when I do finally appear, for it to be, just have the understanding that people take screenshots. People take screenshots. People can record their screen. So if you're going to appear on it, you want to make sure that, the pictures are going to go down looking good. You know what I mean? You don't want to look raggedy. And they're like, oh, wow, that's permission to exist? Okay. Anyway, the answer was no. Okay. The answer was just quite simply no. And I asserted my boundary. And I even asked the professor, I said, is this going to be an ongoing expectation? Because I don't think it's going to be one that I can meet. And she said, oh, no. It's just for the first class, just so we can introduce ourselves to each other. And I'm like, okay. And then later on in that same class, she was like, and guys, we might have other classes where we need cameras. And I just want everyone to know that no one cares what you look like. And, we all are home and no one's background is perfect and it's okay. And no one's judging you. And see that right there, I almost did a whole stream on that, you guys. Because what she doesn't realize is that's not the point. You can't tell me no one's judging you. You can't tell me no one's looking at your background. They have eyes, don't they? Like, you can't tell me how to feel about this. That's the problem. And I know she's a narcissist, baby. Whoo! That's what they do. They try to tell you how to feel about something. No one's judging. I mean, I don't even have on makeup today. It's not about what you have on. It's about how I feel about presenting my person to a bunch of strangers in a digital format. That's what it's about. It's not about who's judging or who's not judging. I could care less about whether or not they're judging. It's about this being my decision and me being an adult. And the way I also felt about it was, if you people can refuse to wear masks in institutions and in businesses where they require you to wear them, and you walk in talking about, I'm a free American, I don't have to put on a mask, then I don't have to turn on my camera. That's how I feel about it. Debate me, change my mind. If you feel like you have the right to go anywhere, even though these people say you need to have a mask to enter into our building, and you walk in there anyway because you're a free American and you can do what you want to do, well, as long as that spirit and that energy is active in our society, then that's the spirit and energy I'm on when I tell you, no, I'm not turning on my camera. No. Do something about it. You see what I mean? Y'all do need a PTE Facebook group. I was thinking about doing a Discord server for you guys, but I don't know how that works. But do y'all get my point though? Like, we should borrow some of their brazenness, honestly, because like I've been illustrating over and over again, we're giving up our freedoms in little ways all the time, but no one says anything about it. But that's one of them, forcing you to show yourself. Like, it's almost like voyeuristic to me. I don't like it. Like, when you demand to see my face and I don't want to give it to you, that feels very like creepy to me and voyeuristic. Like, if I'm running a class, if I'm a professor, well, first of all, if I'm a professor, y'all probably would never see me unless my department required it. But I would probably pop on for the first day. Hi, everybody. I'm your professor. This is the class. And you'd probably never see me again. And then the mandate that I would give my students would be, if you feel like turning on your camera, go for it. I would never stop you. But if you don't want to, you do not have to. And it's not part of your grade. The most important thing is that we can hear you. You understand? So anyway, like I was saying, what was I saying? The answer is no. Mandate, borrow some of their brazen. Yeah. We need to borrow some of their brazenness. Hell, they're flaunting rules that are put in place by businesses and other types of institutions. If they can march up in there and shop and spend their money and not have to follow the rules, well then, honey, I'm not turning on this camera. And when y'all challenge me on that, I'm going to say, do you wear a mask, Professor? Do you wear a mask everywhere you go? And she'll probably go, oh, well, no. I mean, no. I mean, I think that's ridiculous. Right. Well, I think your camera rules are ridiculous too. Not doing it. Borrow some of their brazenness. Return it back to them. But in the right ways, though, you guys, don't go out here and get arrested, okay? On my behalf. All right? So that's just one example, of asserting your boundaries even when it's scary. That was scary for me. It's frightening to say no when everyone else is saying yes. And believe me, y'all, I'm not a contrarian. I'm not a difficult person just being difficult to be difficult. I make adult decisions for my life is what it is. And if I really felt like the camera was necessary, or if I felt like it was required, if I felt like it was necessary, or if it were required for class, like maybe we're working on like television production or something, and like we practice producing each other on the news. I don't know. You get my point though. If it's required, period. Then I just have to make the decision whether or not I want to take that class. But when something is not required, it's not necessary, and it has something to do with privacy or me feeling private, then I'm going to make a decision about that. And I encourage you all to do the same thing. Borrow some of their brazenness. These people have shown they don't care about rules when they don't feel like they apply to them, even good rules. So if it's a bad rule, borrow some of their brazenness and tell them no. Assert your boundaries even when it's scary. So I'll let y'all know how this plays out as the semester wears on, because I'll make a promise to you right now. I guarantee you, we have 13 classes left. 10 of them, she's gonna make us turn those cameras on. Watch, guarantee. She's gonna be like, all right, guys, so this is gonna be one of those times that I asked you to turn your camera on. Don't worry about how you look. Don't worry about your background. So you know what I should do? I think I got it. If she ever forces us to turn those cameras on, honey, I'm going to order a brassiere from Savage X Fenty, Rihanna's lingerie clothing line. I'm going to have these tatas sitting up under my chin, baby. They're going to be sitting right up under my chin. I'm going to put on some red lipstick, a robe, one of those kind of thin ones, some boy shorts. Yep. Might just go on a dating app and just find somebody like, listen, I need to borrow you for 1 hour. And all I need you to do is sit on my couch with your shirt off. That's it. That's it. Like, you don't have to do anything, say anything. I'll even pay you. But I just need you to come over here and sit on my couch with your shirt off for an hour. Can you do that? Do you mind if I oil you up? Is that cool? Awesome. Get him over here. Oil him up. Oil that chest, body, back, shoulders, all that. Sit over there. And as soon as she's talking about turn the camera on, I'm going to give her one chance, and I'm going to write in the little DM and say, hi, Professor, I'm really not in a position to turn my camera on right now. Is it okay if I just listen in? And when she hits me back with, no, actually, I'd really like for you to turn your camera on, I'd say, okie dokie, pow, tatas, boom, up under the chin, boy shorts, bam. Oh, who's that? Oh, don't worry about him. Since you just had to have this camera on, don't worry about him. We were busy, but whatever. What do you need? Yes, I do believe that the process of instructional design has evolved many times over the years and blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. Mute. And then when I mute, just stand up, make sure them boy shorts are right in the camera, walk off, go mess with him, touch on him. Hey, what you doing back here, boy? How you doing? You cute. And then you would hear, everybody, I want to make sure that we're all being appropriate in our cameras. We do need them on, but we want to make sure that everyone is maintaining professionalism and remembering our code of ethics and our code of conduct. Thank you, everyone. And then I'm going to put on Meg the Stallion and start twerking for you in the camera, and I'll just pretend like I didn't hear your little announcement. You want a show? You're going to get one. But step one is me getting my little brassiere so I can push them right up under my chin, baby. Pow. You want this camera on? You got it. Now what? Now what you gonna do? Okay. Asserting boundaries even when it's scary. Here's a good one, you guys, and we're gonna round this out here soon. make sure you compliment each other, okay? The people in your life that you know and that you are exposed to, make sure you compliment each other. And I'll tell you why this is important. I'll give a very personal example, actually. Not personal like private, but deals with me. Excuse me. Prior to me starting this YouTube channel, I had no idea that I had a nice voice. You guys told me that. Now, here's the significance of that. I've spent my whole life around other people, family, friends, lovers, coworkers. Nobody, when I tell you nobody, I've had classrooms full of students, teenagers and adults. Nobody has ever told me that I had a nice voice before. Nobody. The closest thing that I've ever heard was, you sound like a reporter. And I've always known that. Like, I always knew that I sounded like a news reporter, kind of. Like, I've always known that. And I always, for a brief moment in time, I wanted to be a reporter. Decided not to for many different reasons. I always knew I had a news reporter anchor type delivery. I did not know anything about the voice itself. You guys told me that. And if you guys had never told me that, I would never know. And that's why I say it's important to compliment each other, because, and I will say this, my grandmother used to say to me, it's good to hear your beautiful voice. But my grandmother thought everything was beautiful, you guys. The sun rising was beautiful. The sun setting was beautiful. A new day was beautiful. You understand? Everything was beautiful to her. So when she said, or when she used to say, it's good to hear your beautiful voice, to me, I'm just thinking that's part of the beauty that she finds in everything. No one ever told me specifically, nobody. So it's important to know that. So like when I have bad days, I'll be like, well, at least I have a nice voice. That's something. That's not nothing. I mean, at least that's something, right? But literally nobody tells me this, you guys. Now, I do think there's two reasons behind that. One, they never actually hear it because they're always so busy talking themselves. So that's one. They don't ever actually hear my voice. Most people in my real life only hear like sound bites. They rarely hear complete sentences, and they definitely don't hear complete thoughts. Never. So it's not surprising to me they've never heard the full tonality of my voice. So that's one. But two, I really do think I sound different in person. I have to, because I'm like, how do I go my whole life and no one has ever said to me, I mean, like people who laid next to me in bed have never said, damn, baby, you got a nice voice. I like your voice. None of them, not one, you guys, not one. So it is important to compliment each other. If you see something in someone or hear it or whatever, give each other compliments, seriously, because sometimes people don't know, y'all. They really don't. They really, really don't. And people need to know the good things about them because it's not always apparent. Again, I just thought reporter, like, okay, I could be a TV news anchor. That would be pretty easy for me. But I never thought anything of the sound, nothing of the tonality or the quality of it, nothing. And that's all thanks to you guys. So I just want y'all to know that. Okay. I want y'all to know that. And just to carry the example a little further, in a class I had last semester, we had to do the introductions, and one guy was in that class and he was like, yeah, I've worked for Tyler Perry and I'm in production and sound production and music production and blah, 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 blah. You would think somebody like that, right? When you hear my voice, don't even see me because I didn't come on camera then either. You would think he'd be like, hey, so I see you're taking this degree program, but you ever thought about doing voiceovers? Or like, I know some people, like your voice is kind of cool. Like you got a nice little sound quality to it. Nothing, you guys, nothing, nada. So I would never know if y'all never told me. And that's a very long way of me to say, make sure you compliment each other and make sure it's sincere. Give real compliments, not fake ones, okay? Okay, yes, speak life into people, yes. And apparently my laugh too. You guys like, y'all like my laugh. My laugh is, I have like 4 different laughs and they all walk the scale. Like there is a wild banshee laugh that I don't think you guys have heard yet. I think you guys might have heard the banshee. I don't know if y'all have heard the banshee, but I think y'all have heard like the level just below the banshee. But I have a laugh, y'all, that it is so out of control that it makes me laugh. So it's like I'll be laughing at one thing, then the laugh itself makes me laugh. Now I'm laughing at the laugh and the thing. It's just stupid. Oh, I wonder if y'all have heard that banshee. Okay, let's see here. Okay. I think that's everything, actually. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So treat yourself as good as you treat others. Make sure you assert your boundaries even when it's scary, and be sure to give each other compliments on a regular basis, okay? Because people need to hear it because they may not know. You might think they know, but they may not actually know. And that, friends, is how I maintain my self-esteem, how I rebuild it when it takes a hit. It definitely has taken hits in the past, but the one thing that keeps me going is just the knowledge of the truth, the knowledge of who I am, and the knowledge of my intentions, most of which the narcissist will not allow you to share with them. So as a result, most of their opinions are null and void. And those are my thoughts on how to recover your self-esteem. So let's see here. Why don't we do this? I want to run through your comments really quick. And I also just want to show y'all, because I just need somebody to appreciate this with me. I want to show y'all the original thumbnail. So I'm going to do a slide for that really quick. I just want somebody to see and be proud of me. I want somebody to be proud. Uh-oh, go back. But welcome, everybody. I hope this helps. I know it's not easy to maintain your self-esteem. It can be quite difficult, actually. I think it's very easy to lose a grip on your self-esteem, especially with social media. You see everybody, they all look so pretty. You think, what am I doing wrong? All that stuff. But honey, do know filters. Filters are real. Let's see, can I get this thing on here? I just want to show y'all real quick. All right, from current slide. I just want to show you what the original picture looks like. And then also just from a standpoint, if anyone's curious or a creator yourself, just kind of why I make the decisions I make. So this is also kind of a creator class. But this is the original picture, you guys. So as you can see, it has this weird wallpaper background on it. And I just absolutely hated it. I hate this. I feel like it's competing with the wood grain of, I guess this is a floor, the wood grain in this picture, and then you got the apples. I hated it, you guys. So I literally drove myself crazy last night until I created this. It's distracting, right? So it's a long story, but I was able to pull this off. So I just wanted y'all to see, this is what holds me up. Little things like this, stupid stuff like PTE, put it up there with the wallpaper. Who cares? And I'm like, no, they need to focus on the apple and the chewed up apple. Thank you so much. It's a super good job on the thumbnail, a transformation. Thank you so much. It's busy, right? Yep. So this is kind of a creator class for those of you who plan on being creators one day. This is just how I think. And I was explaining how I felt like it would be hard for me to explain what drives my decisions and like why I make the decisions I make, but this would be a perfect example. This is the original thumbnail. It was driving me nuts because I hated the stupid background, and it took me forever, but I was able to transform it into this, with the purpose being focus on the apple in the mirror, not this silly little wallpaper in the background. So I just wanted to share. I just wanted to show that to you guys. So anyway, let me go through your comments really quick and then we will get out of here, okay? It says the ropes and chains give it character. Oh, goodness. And then there was this one. So let me ask you guys this. As far as the thumbnail that lives on YouTube, this is the one that's there now. But should I change it to this? Which one would you click on? Would you click on the chewed up apple or would you click on the meter? I need to know that. And then I'll change it to whichever one you guys pick. But this was also part of the struggle. Like, oh my God, I need to show a meter. I need a meter. but then it doesn't show how they're not the same and they don't feel like they're the whole apple. I want them to see that they're the chewed up apple. Y'all, it's real. The struggle is so real. It's so silly. The apple. Okay, I will change it to the apple. Okay, I'll change it to the apple. Thank you for your input. Got 1 vote for meter. So I'll keep looking at the votes, but I see the apple. It speaks to you, right? It's like, I know I'm this whole apple. I know who I am, but right now I got some bites missing out of me. Thumbnail can hold up the whole show. All right, so let me go through some of your comments and then we'll get out of here, okay? Welcome, everybody. We are now in after show mode, okay? Right, it says PTE, some of these people are not narcs, but have a dismissive, avoidant attachment style. They're running so fast, they don't get all the details. Exactly. Exactly. And they can be almost as problematic as a narcissist, almost. It's that dismissiveness. That dismissiveness is such a bad trait. Oh my God, it's such a bad trait. So sis, I haven't laughed this well since COVID-19 started. Well, I'm so happy I was able to give you some laughs. We cut up over here. I try really hard to be on my best behavior. I really do, but I cut up a lot. Let's see here. Yeah, it says, wow, epiphany. I can do it like this. I've been told since I was 14 that I have a good telephone voice. Would it not be the same? I'm so self-conscious. It would be exactly the same. And if you're thinking about maybe doing YouTube or something like that, a podcast, I say go for it. Go for it. Because I think maybe that might be what they mean when they say you sound like a reporter or you have a good telephone voice. Maybe that is their way of giving a compliment. You know what I mean? They're not trying to necessarily withhold anything. That's just the only way they know how to say it. Like, hey, you sound like a reporter. But telling someone they sound like a reporter and telling someone they have a nice voice are 2 different things to me. But yeah, I think you should go for it. Thank you so much. Says one of your top strengths, you're touching a lot of lives with your voice. Thank you. One day I'm going to hop on here and read the phone book to you guys. Says I'll never view Zoom calls the same. Have I corrupted you, Kathy? Don't let me corrupt you guys. Don't let me get y'all in trouble with your managers and bosses and coworkers. I'm just so different because like I feel so passionate about the protection of the person. And I feel like there's more than one way to violate a person. It doesn't always have to be physical or sexual. You know what I mean? Like you can violate in other ways. And that's one way. Like if a person doesn't want to be stared at, or people can relate to this. Those of us who, if you cry, the next day your face is like super puffy and swollen. It's super obvious, right? So I'm one of those people, I cannot hide it, y'all. If I cry the night before, next day, it looks like I've had an allergic reaction, basically. And I'm not kidding. Like my eyelids, everything like puffs up like I'm having an allergic reaction. And it's quite obvious. And people always comment on it. But what they say is you look tired. They don't say you look sad or you look like you've been crying all night. They'll say you look tired. And I'll just say, oh, yeah, I'm real sleepy. Like I never tell them what really was, because I don't want them to recognize my cry face. I don't want them to be able to be like, oh, she was crying all last night. So I'll just like, oh, yeah, I'm real tired, real sleepy. But the truth is I'd probably been crying. See, everyone doesn't want that level of analysis. And humans can't help but do that. Like, oh, I noticed your hair color is different. Oh, yeah, it is. You know, oh, you look sleepy. Are you tired? Oh, yeah, I'm just a little tired. You know, like nobody wants that level of scrutiny. Don't let me ruin you guys, okay? But I'm very passionate about this and extremely adamant about this. Extremely adamant. It's invasive. And the fact that they all approach it the same way tells me you're operating out the same playbook. Because that's not the first time I've heard one of them say that before. Oh, you know, we've been home. I mean, COVID has us all home. Like nobody's a superstar. Like nobody's a model. But here's the other thing about that, y'all. See, y'all done got me on my topic. Here's the other side of it that we don't talk about. It's not always about looking bad. When you understand that people have severe self-esteem issues, severe self-worth issues, it's not always about looking bad. Sometimes it's about being the best looking one out of the bunch. Now, I know that sounds like I'm tooting my own horn and toot, toot, beep, beep. I'm not, y'all. What I'm saying is people are in varying states of self-worth and varying states of self-esteem. So if someone is insecure about, say, their hair, I have hair. I do not have hair. I have hair and I actually can't hide it. So there is no baseball cap for me. There is no scarf, put a scarf over it for me. There is no tie it back. There is none of that for me. So when I come on camera, you're going to see immediately I have hair and I can't hide it. So what if I come on camera and someone else has insecurities around their hair? What if someone is losing their hair? And now they got to sit on camera with this biatch, with this head full of hair and try to focus on class. So it's not always about somebody looking bad. It's about not triggering other people sometimes. And I know that's going to sound however it sounds. And I don't mean it to sound that way, y'all. It's just an acknowledgement of human nature. It's an acknowledgement of how people really are. Let's say if you're a man and you real swole and cock diesel, you know what I mean? And you fine, you're sexy, you know what I'm saying? So when you turn the camera on, we can see your traps, we can see your shoulders, all that. And you got guy over here who can't bench press 100 looking at you in the camera like, oh, well, who does he think he is? He thinks he's some sort of Chad. He come on the camera trying to make all the girls like him. Yeah. And I'm just over here with my little wimpy chest and whatever. And the girls aren't looking at this corner of the screen. They're looking at that corner of the screen. Look at them. Look at all their eyes looking at Chad. See, who has time for that? I don't have time for that. And dealing with your weird self-esteem issues, then y'all are going to put us in a group because you can't help but group us up because none of us are allowed to get our education on our own. We always have to get our education in a group. So you're going to group us up, and then the same one who had the self-esteem issue from the intro class going to bring those self-esteem issues over there and be weird with me in the group because she's intimidated by my hair. You see what I'm saying? I don't have time for that, you guys. I'm here to learn, turn in my assignments, and leave. I don't have time to baby people's self-esteem. I don't. And the reason I know that to be true is because I've seen it happen before, over and over and over again in multiple formats. Multiple. For example, before COVID, you might have a situation where every interview had been a phone interview, you know? And it's all good until you show up in person. Then it's like, oh, hi, hey. Oh, we don't need her walking around the office. Don't need the guys distracted by that. You see what I mean? Until people are healthy mentally and emotionally, I can't deal with them on certain levels. And that's one of them. Let's see. Just scrolling your comments still. So we've heard the tipsy laugh. Ooh-wee. My laugh like builds. It builds up. It's so funny. So funny. The banshee's so out of control though. Like, I don't want y'all to hear that one because I feel like it'll blow your eardrums out. If I ever do the banshee, I'll have to step away from the microphone because it's so loud. It's ridiculous. And somewhere along the past year or two, y'all remember Nelson from The Simpsons, how he used to go, ha ha. I don't know where or why that incorporated itself into my banshee laugh, but y'all, for whatever reason, like when I'm laughing like full force, top of my lungs, like it goes, ha ha, I can't do it. I can't do it. Just know that when I'm laughing at the top of my lungs, ha ha has worked its way into my laugh. And I'm like, where did I get this from? I didn't get it from The Simpsons, because if I had got it from The Simpsons, I would have been doing that pretty much my whole life. Simpsons have been out for a while. This only came about in like the last year or two. where when I finally peek out, it peeks out in a massive ha ha. Tears are falling down my eyes right now. Okay, let's keep going. I heard about this poor Joe Exotic. He had a limousine waiting for him and everything, y'all. I thought that was a joke when I first heard about it. It is not. Like, they literally had a stretch limo waiting for him, and Trump did not pardon him. That's so messed up. Yes, they can't take away my dignity. That's from Whitney Houston. Greatest love of all. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. And quite often, that's what I'm fighting for. Like in various videos, different topics we talk about, what I'm really fighting for more often than not is your dignity. Like, maintain your dignity, preserve your dignity. You know what I mean? Like, no matter what they take or whatever, if you have your dignity intact, you'll be all right. You will be all right. That's why every job I've walked away from, like, I generally never think about them again because I left nothing. Nothing got left behind. Let's see here. Looks like a super chat just came in. Let me see. Go find it. Thank you, Prophetic Heirlooms. I appreciate the super chat and the support. Welcome. I hope you're enjoying the show. Thank you so much. All right, let's see here. Let me just scroll a little bit more and then we'll get out of here, okay? Yes, it's all about how we feel about ourselves. And the danger of this particular topic, really, self-esteem and self-worth, is that it has been cliche to death. So, like, pretty much any video you click on YouTube, you already know what you're going to hear for the most part. So I do hope that tonight I offered you different takes on this topic, because so often you hear the same things, but some of them are indeed true. And that's the thing about cliches, right? They're often true. But it is how we feel about ourselves. It's your evaluation of yourself. So, for example, here's how you know that you're doing it right. If people compliment you on something, you accept their compliment, but you don't necessarily, what's the word? Not believe, but I guess receive, maybe. Like, you thank them for it, like, oh, thank you so much for your compliment. But if you're not pleased with your performance on a certain thing, their compliment doesn't matter. So that's how you know it's working. Because I don't want to say that compliments or critiques should have no effect, because that's kind of what a narcissist is. But see, the narcissist, I believe, only listens to compliments and they never listen to critiques. So I think that would be the difference. But what I want to say is compliments nor complaints should have any effect on you, because you should be the primary judge of your performance. There's so much danger in me saying it that way, though, because so often that's what narcissists do to us. We try to give them feedback and they reject it. But I feel like what I'm saying is different. What I'm saying is you hear it all, you receive it all, I guess. You only, I don't know, it's coming out wrong. You should be your number one critic and your number one cheerleader, basically. And everyone else is secondary. So if you know you did a good job on something, know that you did a good job on it. If you know you didn't do a good job, know that you didn't do a good job, even if people are telling you, hey, that was great. You say thank you, but in your mind, you're thinking through how you can do it better next time. I might have to do a separate show on that to make sure that I'm super clear. PCE has all of our hair, yes. Every show, I snatch a strand from each of you and I put it on my scalp and I collect it. Yes. Yeah, I'm a collector. I'm a collector of things. No, it is a lot of hair, though. It's quite a bit. Let me see here. Right. This is how I feel about the school and really YouTube content too. It says, who wants the pressure of having to do hair and makeup for every video? Isn't the content supposed to be about supporting one another and the content you provide to do just that? Exactly. Like, I'm going to say something. I know it's probably not nice, but I'm working on just being transparent and open. I find it weird when people put themselves on every YouTube thumbnail. Like, I think that's weird. I find that to be strange. Now, listen, they have higher views than me. They have more subscribers than me. So maybe I'm doing something wrong. You know, humans like to see humans. And so when they see a human face there, they click it. You know what I mean? That's good. Like, we want humans to still want to see humans, right? But I think it's weird. I think if you're talking about like narcissism and responsibility, what does that have to do with you, the creator? Like, I've given you all my like a laundry list of reasons why I don't come on, but one of the reasons I don't come on yet anyway is I always wanted y'all to focus on what I was saying. I always wanted you guys to hear me first, because I always felt like if I come on at the same time, I'm kind of rolling the whole channel out. Will they ever really hear me, or will they be focused on me? So if I can take the focus off of me and let them hear me first, at least if I ever come on camera, I know they heard something. Something got in there. Excuse me. Something got in. You know? All right. I think we have reached a pretty good stopping place. I'm just scrolling. I don't want to contaminate you guys about the camera, because the funniest thing is, like, when the smartphones first came out, that's literally the first thing we wanted. We were like, oh my gosh, we can send word messages to each other. Those would be text messages. And then it was like, oh my God, do you think one day we'll be able to like video each other and like send each other videos? And do you think one day we'll be able to talk to each other just through the phone and like looking at each other? It was like our number one desire. And then we got it and like nobody uses it. Which makes me wonder why. Like, that actually poses deeper questions for me. Like, when this technology first came around, that was our first thought. Like, how cool would it be for me to be able to talk to you through the phone and look at you? Then they built it out. They developed that functionality. And so many of us don't use it. A lot of people do, but a lot of people don't, including me. Like, I rarely FaceTime people. It is rare that I FaceTime people. And I don't know why. I don't know why that is. And a lot of people are like that. Like, we finally can webcam and we don't. Why? I think it's something, if I could pose a theory to you, I think it's because in our mind, our brain is saying something like, this isn't right. Like, I think our brain can only accept a certain level of not realism. I don't know. That's just a theory. I'll work on that theory. Someone said, yeah, you have to do the banshee into the microphone. One day. But the thing is, it does catch me off guard. So you probably will get it in the microphone. It's usually unexpected, unsuspected. I can't plan the banshee. I can't do the banshee on demand. It's when I'm caught completely off guard. And now it's capped off with a ha ha. All right, you guys, why don't we go ahead and get out of here? And I appreciate you all so much. I hope you enjoyed the show. And I will be doing more of your viewer requests. And we will be exploring some more of these topics later. But I do hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm glad you all loved the thumbnail. I worked so hard on it, and I'll go change it right now on the main video. But thank you. And we will talk again very soon. I don't have any outro music, so I'm just going to mute, let you guys finish off your conversation, and then I'll close it. Okay. Take care. And I'll actually see you tomorrow for the news break. All right. Have a good evening. Bye.